What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be doing a $500 customer wrapped quarter hunt and album fill. We will be doing our best to finish off our albums. We only have a handful of quarters left and I'm excited to get them done. So let's jump into it. So for those of you that are new to this series, I'll go ahead and put the playlist so you can catch up from episode 1 right up here in the corner. But we are working on our 1965 to 1987 book. Here, let me actually just show you my notes here, and then we can look in the books. But in that first book, we are only missing 2 quarters. I'm sure a couple could be upgraded, but we need 2 to wrap up the book. The 1988 to 1998 is complete, but that 88 needs some love. Definitely going to be looking for an upgrade. In that deluxe state quarter book, we are only missing 2, 4, 6, 7 quarters, almost all of them from 2009. And then we have been for a very, very long time trying to wrap up that national park book. We just need that 2010 Arizona from Philly and that 2011 Washington state quarter from Denver. So really quickly, just to get you into the books, you can see there's the 2 we're missing there. Other than that, we are filled out. Our Washington quarter book, and this is the biggest Whitman album ripoff there is because you will see we have nearly a page and a half of empties. So if you buy this one, understand you don't have a whole lot of spots to fill in. This Warman's quarter book is actually quite nice. I got this on Amazon. I don't know if I've got a link in the description down below, but you can use any one of my links below to get to Amazon and then find this book, and I'll get a small little commission from Amazon when you do it. But you can see by year 99, 2000, 2001, they do the Philly and the Denver of each state. And I've got just a couple of holes here. The one downside to these folders is you can only pop the quarters out and put new ones in so many times before they stop holding your quarters. So keep that in mind if you do get these albums. And of course, the last one, I think this is a really nice book because it covers a lot of information about the quarters as well. But in this one, they've done from 2010 to 2021, all Philly on one side, and from 2010 through 2021, Denver all on the other side. And both of them, I'm just missing 1 coin. So that's enough about these albums. We're going to jump into these quarters and hopefully find some goodies. Let's do 1 or 2 rolls. We'll just lay them out here. I won't go through them all on camera. But if you're curious what we're hunting for outside of what we're putting in that album, or those albums, I have a document in the description below of all my coin roll hunt videos where I talk about all the errors and varieties and things that I look for. They're not all inclusive. There are other quarters that you could be looking for, but that document shows the ones that I focus on. So let's see here. I'll open one more. I'm just kind of edge hunting for some silver right now. I do have a lot of shiny edges. Those are likely going to be 2021s and 2022s. Possibly from some San Francisco business strikes, but most likely just newer quarters. And let's take a look at this, and then I'll go off camera. Sorry if that was a little out of frame there, but I'm not seeing any silver. That looks like maybe a metal detector find. 1965, a little beat up. But that said, I'll go off camera. Hopefully we find some goodies, and I'll bring you guys in soon. I'm making a mess. So we're getting towards the end of that 3rd roll that I opened, and in the first 2, we've actually got some book fillers. We got that Michigan 2004D, and we have a DC from Denver as well. Those will go in the books, but the 3rd from the last coin there, we did end up at scratched up, but it is a San Francisco. Looks like a clad proof just because it's nice and shiny. It doesn't have those frosted details, but it is a 2018 Rhode Island, and if you've been watching my channel, I get a lot of these 2018 San Francisco business strikes, but it's a nice find for the board. Well, this is pretty cool. I had rolls 3, 4, and 5 out, and I'm kind of halfway through roll number 4, and we have come across our first 2023 quarter in a coin roll hunt. This is the Bessie Coleman. We'll see it says 6/15, 1921. Now, I don't know if there's any errors on this quarter. I am going to set it aside, especially since it's the first one I've ever found. We've got some bag marks and such, but it's my first ever 2023 Philly. And if I find any errors, I will be sure to bring in. We'll look at them under the microscope. But pretty cool. Probably still just worth a quarter, but I always love finding the first of a New Year quarter in a coin roll hunt. So I've got rolls 8, 9, and 10 out in front of me going through roll 8, and we have come across a 2010 Arizona, and we really need that 2010 Arizona Philly. And we got a Denver. I guess we'll have to keep looking. Getting through roll 9, we've got all of our discards there, and right towards the tail end of the roll, we've got another San Francisco clad business strike. And this time it is a 2018 Georgia to go with our 2018 Rhode Island. So we're getting through roll 10, and I finally found a drooling George and figured I'd bring you guys in for it. I found a couple other interesting die chips. They're fairly common ones that I cover in almost all my quarter videos, but I just wanted to show you guys that I had them, and we'll get them under the scope. One is this, I forget what her name is all of a sudden. This is the Dr. Sally Ride drooling George. We do have a Wilma Mankiller with the die chip in the hair, and we have a small 2021 die chip on George's hat. Let's go ahead and get them under the scope and have a quick look. So there is the drooling George. You can see it right there in the corner of his mouth. It's just where there's a chip missing from the die. It looks like he's drooling, and that die chip can be really big or really small. Typically the value is tied to how big that chip is. That's actually true for pretty much any die chip error. This is the Wilma Mankiller, and you can see, if I can get my mouse down here, there's a big hunk of metal right here in her hair. That's supposed to be a nice, clean sort of valley like you see down here. But there's a die chip in there. So that's our second one. And the last one you can find all over eBay. It's up here on the hat. This is a very small example. We've got a little bit of extra metal right here in the hat. If you can find the one where the metal goes all the way up and over, it's called the full crown error. And when that thing first came out, it was worth, $100, $200. I want to say, I haven't looked in a while, but last I checked, they'd kind of settled in around $60 or $80 a pop. Maybe it's come down, but I'm sure I'll check the price before the end of this video. We got rolls 14 and 15 out in front of us. I'm about halfway through here with roll 14, and I already looked at the face, so I know what I have here, but it's another 2018, this time the Apostle Island, Wisconsin, San Francisco business strike. I always want to say clad proof when I say San Francisco, but this is a business strike, and we now have 3 of the 5 2018s of that class of coin. So we've got rolls 21 through 25 down on the table, and we're going through roll 21, and we've come across our next find. It's another San Francisco business strike. This one's actually in really, really good shape, nice and shiny still, a lot of the mint luster still on it. And we have another 2018. I know I said earlier in the video that I get a lot of these, but this is just proof. That's 4 San Francisco business strikes, all from 2018, and it's our second Block Island. And I did notice just behind that coin, we've got a Bicentennial, and this will be our 4th Bicentennial on the box. Let's see here, it is a Denver. One of the coins on our little bucket list is the 1976 Bicentennial DDO that presents up here in the word Liberty, and I'm not seeing it. Anyway, we'll add it to our list of Bicentennials. So we're just a couple of rolls ahead of where we were, getting through roll 24 of the rolls 21 through 25 that I pulled out, and look what I got. Now, I've already looked at the obverse, so I know, but I've come across a lot of 2010 Arizonas, and they've all been Denvers, which is weird. But it looks like I finally got that 2010 Arizona Philly minted quarter. So that means I've just got one more quarter in our National Park book to fill, which is that Denver minted Washington from 2011. So we'll keep our eye out for that. So far, this has been a really, really good hunt for finding book fillers. So I look forward to slotting those in at the end of the video and showing them off. Oh, and I have been finding a bunch of the new 2023s. I've been keeping them all up here just to get a count. So we'll cover that in the wrap-up. So I have rolls 25 through 30 out in front of us, and I'm stopping you here just to show off this Bicentennial. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it looks like I've got a little bit of, I don't know what kind of gunk that is. I don't want to scrape at it, but this is probably one of the nicer Bicentennials I've ever found in a circulated box of quarters. I would go so far as to say this would be mint state if we didn't have all that gunk on the back. It's just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to put this aside and see if I can dip that maybe into some acetone or something. That'd be a great book upgrade. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're on roll 41 through 45, and actually I've got roll 43 out here, and I almost just pitched this aside as a 1971, but then I realized I still needed the 1971 Philly to fill my very first book, and when I put it under the scope, because it looked like just a damaged D, we actually have a 1971 San Francisco proof quarter right here, and I never would have guessed it. So that's a pretty cool find in a box of quarters. So we are done going through the box, and I was going through all of the coins that I had found to start thinking about how I was going to do the wrap-up, and thought, you know, I want to pull these Bessie Coleman quarters aside. I found 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 of them, and I wanted to go through them under the scope before I looked online to see if there were any identifiable errors, just so that I could familiarize myself with the quarter under the scope before I was jaded by some of the silliness you see from time to time on eBay. That said, I did find one quarter that looked a little strange to me, and I'm going to show you why I think this looks strange and what one of the normal quarters looks like, and then we're going to look at eBay. So let's have a quick look. What I believe I have right here actually is a double die reverse on, I'm assuming this EC is the engraver's initials, and you'll see we've got some real weirdness going on here. We've got a ghosted E out here, like way out of place. We've got an E underneath this E, and we have a double C going on here. Over here, it looks more like machine doubling, so I would never argue that this is a double die here. I don't know about never, but to me, that looks like more traditional machine doubling, even down here on the lettering, and I'll just move this around a little bit so you guys can see. It's kind of going all the way across the bottom of the lettering there. But, you know, that I think is less important. For me, what really, really jumps out, I'm going to zoom way in here, is that doubling and almost tripling, if you will, on the E and the C. So I think this is a DDR, or maybe a misplaced mint mark. I'm not sure what they call that, but it looks really, really strange. And I went on eBay, and someone else has something very, very similar listed. You can see on theirs, they've got kind of that ghosted E in the C, and they're calling it a BU quarter error awesome DDR. It's from Pegasus 00S with 685 sales, and he's asking $250 for it. I haven't I have not jumped into the rest of these to see what they are. I did look at the sold listings, and I haven't seen any of these sell. Let me see if I can do that really quickly. Holding the camera and driving is sometimes difficult, but let's have a quick look. All right, so here is someone who has a, yep, they've got some kind of, they're calling it a DDO. Same guy, Pegasus. Now, we only got $20 for this one, and it looks like this one is slightly different. Let's jump into this one and see how it's different. Let's get into the original listing down here. So this one is even stranger. So this looks like it's some sort of die error that presents differently. And he only got $20.50 for this one. Swinging for the fences on the next one. I am probably, by the time you guys see this video, I'll probably already have this out on eBay just to see if I can get some bites for it. But I wanted to show it to you. I'm not even done going through all of mine. Let me zoom back out here. But this thing is pretty darn cool, and the quarter is in pretty good shape. I would call this, you know, a BU quarter. I mean, it's maybe been around the block once. It looks really, really nice. Still has some mint luster on it. Not a lot of bag marks. I would guess this is either a high AU or even a low MS coin. Anyway, you know, just real quick to show you guys what one of the regular quarters looks like. There it is. You can see there's no doubling, no extra E, no extra C. This is what the other 3 or 4 that I've gone through look like. So I'm going to call this an error. I'm going to call it a DDR. And if you disagree or have a different opinion, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so I've gone through all of the Bessie Coleman quarters, and one last thing I want to show you before we do the full wrap-up for the books is I did find one other oddity, and that is a die chip up here on the glove right there. So I don't know if that's common or not. I don't know if that's going to end up being a big deal or not, but that is a pretty sizable die chip there on the glove. The other thing that I have found is many of these, let me actually find another one. Depending on how you have them under your scope, will appear to be doubled. Let me back out a little bit. Depending on how you have them in the light. Like when I do this kind of here, you can vaguely make out two E's and two C's, right? But as I twist it through, like right there, it looks like I've got at least a doubling in the C. But if I continue to turn it in the light, that doubling kind of goes away. So I'm curious if that's just the way this die is made. The other thing I found on most of them is you have some pretty harsh machine doubling, especially over here on the CTC. And I did find most of my coins that have some level of machine doubling on the wording. And again, that may be just part of the design to give it more of a three-dimensional look. I also found a lot of weird what could be some die chips, but more than likely they are just post-mint damage. I think that was one. Let me see, I had another one that was pretty severe. No, where did I put it? There it is. That looks like a big old spike right through the letter C. And depending on how you have that in the light, that just looks like a gouge that could be post-mint damage. Or some might want to say that it is some sort of die error, but I think it's post-mint damage. That said, there is no denying, after looking at this now many, many, many different ways, that that is some sort of double die reverse. That E is clearly not supposed to be there. So I do think this is some kind of find. All right, well, let's get back to the full wrap-up. All right, well, let's wrap up all these quarters, and we'll finish with just, showing these books with all the new coins punched down in them. But I've covered this already for several minutes, but we did end up with a whole bunch of the new Bessie Colemans, all 2023 Philadelphias. So if you are getting some 2023 Phillies, make sure you check for that DDR that I believe I found. We did have this really, really nice, let me zoom in here, 1971 San Francisco proof. It's clad, it's not silver, but a pretty nice find in a customer wrap quarter box. I did pull the two errors that we've already covered here for the Bessie Coleman. I did end up with 3 drooling Georges of varying degrees. I didn't bring you guys in for all of them, but you can even see under this magnification. That one has the Sally Ride. We've got a little bit of a drooling George there. This one's a lot bigger on a 2022D. So you can see this happens on both the Philly and the Denver versions of these quarters. And that too was a Sally Ride. And this last one, probably the biggest drooling George of the bunch on a 2022 Philly. Unfortunately, we got a little ring of death on this one, and this too is a Sally Ride. I kind of stopped pulling these. Let me back out a little bit. These are the Wilma Mankiller quarters, and all of them exhibited some form of die chip here in the hair, and I brought you guys in during the hunt for those. I usually do find a couple, 2, 3, 4, sometimes up to about 5 of those per box, and then I usually just stop hunting for them. This is a die chip that is really slowed down. It's a very, very small die chip on this example right here in the crook of the hat. Of course, we want to find the ones where it's a great big die chip all across the top of the hat, but again, I find these a lot in my quarter boxes, usually 1 or 2 per box. But this is one I'll pitch back because I've pretty much decided I'm only hanging on to the ones that have a sizable die chip on them. Moving over here to our Bicentennials, I do keep most of my Bicentennials that look decent. Some of these grungier ones I'll kick back, but I do make rolls out of these and do occasionally sell them. But I had 2 of the Denvers. They did not have the DDO. And if I back out here so you can see them all, we ended up with about, I think it was like 10 or 12. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And a couple of these guys were just stunners for finding these things in circulation and having them be as old as they are. I mean, that's just a really, really nice quarter. This was the one I showed you during the hunt that I think actually looks a little bit nicer, but it's got some green junk on it. I don't know if that'll come off in some acetone. But we did get a couple, 2 or 3 of these from Philly that were just really, really nice looking Bicentennial quarters. And I know in really high grades, those can be valuable. We did get 2 of the 2018 Rhode Island, Block Island, San Francisco business strikes. We got the 2018 Georgia Cumberland Island and the 2018 Wisconsin. That's the Apostle Island. So 4 business strikes. And last but not least, we got some upgrades and some book fillers, which is part of the Hunt and Fill series. So we did find a decent upgrade for this 1988. And then we did get the 2001 Philly, Rhode Island that we were looking for, the 2004 Michigan from the Denver Mint we were looking for, the District of Columbia Denver Mint, the Puerto Rico, I think that was the Philadelphia Mint if I recall, and one of the 2 coins we've been hunting for our National Park book, this 2010 Arizona, and I believe this too was a Philly. Yeah, there it is. So what I'm going to do is clear off the mat. I'm going to go ahead and get these punched down in the books, and we'll take one last look and call it a video. So really quickly, this was our before quarter on our 1988. You can see pretty grungy, even had some purple markings on it. We've got that nice new 1988 Philly punch down in there. This book has been complete, but I'll just be looking for upgrades as we go through future quarter hunts. Really quickly here, we've got our Rhode Island, Philadelphia. Let's go ahead and get that punched in. And of course, we have our 2004 Michigan, Denver that we're going to get punched in here. So there we go. So now we're complete from 1999 all the way up through 2004. Let's check the other half of the book. So here we are on the other half of the book. I know the lighting on this is pretty bad, but we did need that Puerto Rico from Philly. Get that punched in. And we had this District of Columbia, and this coin has seen better days, but it is a book filler, leaving us pretty much with the Guam, American Samoa, U.S. Virgin Islands, and that's it to complete this book. Those in Denver, those are the only 3 holes remaining in the 50-state book. And here we go with our final punch down into the book. We have our 2010 Arizona, Philadelphia quarter going right on in here, and the only spot we have left is over on the 2011 side for our Washington. It's going to look like this, but from the Denver Mint. So that's the only quarter we have left to finish off this book. Okay, well, we finished our hunt. We've gone through our finds. We've punched everything down into our books, and I've already gone through this, but we're really only looking for about 6 quarters to finish up all of these albums and call this collection complete. And then I'm going to have to go get a whole new set of books and start over. And before we sign off, I did want to give a big shout out to my first and only channel member. He's at my middle tier. He is a Silver Hunter member. And for all my Silver Hunter members and higher, we will be doing shout outs in all of my videos. His name is DJRR. He doesn't have a channel for you guys to go check out, but I'll just share with you guys. He does shoot me emails about once a week. He lets me know what he's doing. He shares his finds with me, and we have kind of some pleasant chats back and forth just on coin roll hunting. And that's something that I definitely try to do with everybody that joins my channel, but definitely get priority for those that are in the membership level and higher. So feel free, there's a join button and down below all my videos. You can click on that, learn all about my memberships. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop on down below, click that thumbs up, leave me a comment. And if you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, if you like filling out those albums, learning about numismatics, learning about errors, we did a little bit of all of that in today's video. Consider clicking on that subscribe button. Click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I'm really excited to check out that new 2023 quarter and seeing what I can get for that on eBay. If you guys have any thoughts about it, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're interested in buying it, let me know that as well. With that said, I'm also working on a $50 hunt right now. That should be out later this week. Hopefully you guys enjoy that one as well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.